I used to be convinced that shopping was a way to good style. The more I would shop, the better my wardrobe would be. And the better my wardrobe was, then the better my outfits were, surely. But the thing I would repeatedly find is that whenever my wardrobe is overflowing, whenever there is too much stuff, I feel the least stylish in my outfits. And then when I simplify my wardrobe and my clothes, I actually feel like the combinations I put together are my most creative. So in today's video, I want to talk about some more of the things I no longer do in order to be instantly more stylish. It's about habits I broke and things I no longer buy. Before we get started, I am in the middle of moving, so there's a bit of chaos around me, there's a bit of noise and echo, but hopefully it turns out okay. I am working today with Idyl, whose studs I am constantly wearing. They do lab-grown diamond studs, and I'll be showing you my current stack later in today's video. The first habit I broke, and something that made a huge difference, is to stop treating basics as all the same. The thing about basic clothes is that a lot of brands will design basics with everyone in mind. They want to sell as many as possible, so they want to make sure the design is so simple that everyone will be okay with it. These are my least favorite kind of clothes because I think if it suits everyone, then it truly suits no one. When we can find basics that align better with us, we will become instantly more stylish. So the best example I can give you is like a white shirt. When we think about it, it can feel really generic, like any option will do. But for something like a white shirt, there are so many different cuts. There are so many different types of structure, from lightweight and flowy to structured. There are so many textures that the fabric can have, whether it has a clear weave or whether it feels more flat and crisp. It can have different stitching details, different pocket details, different placement of things. And all of these things come together to create our perfect piece or just an average item. We all like different things, so there is no right or wrong option here. But when we are aware of the details and we choose the ones we like, our style is just going to be that much better. This applies to jeans, it applies to jackets, shoes, everything. There are more details than we know that goes into a piece of clothing. By breaking this habit, not only are all my clothes a little bit nicer, I also find myself shopping a bit less because it takes longer to find those perfect details. Speaking of clothes being too classic and maybe having the wrong details, I also recently tried on these nude Mary Janes. I want to like them because it's often said they're very elongating, they match with everything, it's a classic, it's timeless, and yet when I tried this on, I immediately know that all the details are wrong for me. It's a combination of this very pink color, which is not a nude shoe for me. It's the wrong tone completely. It's a combination of the studs and the detailing that feels neither here nor there, that makes this piece something that doesn't quite feel aligned to my style. I think I prefer a color that is more seamless and details that felt either more modern or more playful. So learn from my many mistakes in the past. Don't buy the clothes that are not your perfect version. The second habit I broke is to stop always relying on new clothes to have new outfits and better style. I find that whenever I have new clothes, especially if it's a more statement item, a more trendy item, or a fun, quirky piece, I style these pieces in the most boring way. Blue jeans, white, black. And I like the outfits, but it's actually not that stylish, not that creative. Whereas I find that when I'm putting together a lot of classics into an outfit and I focus more on like little details, how things come together, those are my best outfits because it actually shows personal style. It actually involves some combination of colors, textures, and detail. And those outfits feel properly styled versus when I buy something and just throw it into an outfit. So habit I broke is to not rely so much on new and trendy pieces and to focus a little bit more heavily on how I like to combine colors, patterns, textures within my wardrobe. And with this one, spending a bit more time creating mood boards, saving outfits I like, recreating them, and doing the whole styling part of creating an outfit. Sometimes I just do the shopping part, I skip on the styling, so the outfit feels a bit boring. So making sure I remember the styling part of putting together a good outfit. It sounds so ridiculously basic, and yet sometimes I just skip over it. This one is especially relevant for those of you who are in summer going into autumn winter. A habit I broke is to not repeat the same silhouettes of clothing from summer into autumn winter. In the summer, I love volume. I love dramatic, oversized silhouettes. I love billowy sleeves. I like crisp materials. I like volume. The reason it works is because in the summer, I'm also wearing sandals. There's a little bit of skin showing, so it doesn't overwhelm me when I wear something quite loose. I find that because I'm not layering, interesting silhouettes tend to work really well. However, I used to buy the same kind of shapes for autumn, winter. And this is where my wardrobe just kind of fell apart. In autumn, winter, I like my silhouettes to be less dramatic than summer because I'm suddenly layering. I'm working with bulkier fabrics, heavier textures, and these all need to be taken into account when I'm building out this wardrobe. What's chic in summer just doesn't always work for autumn, winter. And if I'm not intentional about it, I end up with a lot of oversized pieces that I don't love the look of once styled. Everything in my autumn, winter wardrobe tends to fit a little closer. I have a few things that give nice oversized proportion, but a lot of it fits in a very classic way. I stopped buying really dramatic autumn winter silhouettes because I realized that with layering, sometimes it doesn't really work out and it doesn't make it as easy as I want it to be to put together a good outfit. So the habit here is to not assume that you're gonna wear exactly the same silhouettes in autumn winter as you wear in summer. Think about how you layer, how you combine things together, and build your wardrobe with that in mind. My formula in autumn winter is that the closer it is to the body, the more fitted it should be. So my base pieces are super tight, my middle layers can be a little bit more relaxed, and then my outerwear and my jackets tend to be oversized. It allows for easy layering and it makes sense to me so that I can have that slim silhouette inside with that oversized silhouette on the outside. It's a formula that works in my wardrobe. Today's video is in partnership with idyl. I've spoken about idyl a few times on my channel. They make lab-grown diamond pieces. They're modular, so with the single diamond stud, you can wear it in multiple ways. If I want something simple, I can just wear the stud alone, or I can add a hoop onto the stud, and with one single stud, you can get lots of different combinations. As someone who likes to change things up, who likes a little variety, I found their earrings to be super versatile to play with. I've mentioned this before, but I have shopped with idyl myself. I've placed 2, if not 3 orders, and I always love working with brands that I personally shop from. There are a lot to choose from, so my absolute favorites right now are the Luna. The Luna is a hoop, so I love that it combines the diamond and the hoop, my 2 earring favorites. And the other staple, which I've shown in past videos, is the Lucia. This is my favorite shape that they do. Idyl diamonds are lab-grown, and lab-grown diamonds have the same scientific makeup as a natural diamond. They're just as sparkly, but they're just not earth-mined. They're from Antwerp, Belgium, the diamond capital of the world, and they are truly a jewelry piece that I'm in love with in my collection. If you'd like to check them out, I do have a discount code with them, and I'll link to the pieces I own in my collection down below. The next thing I stopped doing is buying clothes that I felt like I should own versus genuinely needing it. There are a lot of basic items where it feels like we should just have it. We might need it for certain kinds of outfits. All of these pieces I never ever need. I never ever wear. And if I own them, they're always shoved to the side of my wardrobe. My example here is a short, casual jacket. These are a classic for autumn, and yet I never wear them. If I want a casual outerwear, I will always choose a very warm knit. Something like these knit jackets from Cezanne, that's my go-to. So then in a casual setting, I'm never going to opt for a proper jacket versus these knitted jacket pieces. So knowing this, even though it feels like I should have a short jacket, I feel like I can skip this category as I just don't end up wearing it. This is casual, right? So then when I want something more polished, more dressy, I will definitely go to a blazer. So it just means that I have no function, no need for this type of jacket. I think the best wardrobes are the ones that are very tailored to you how you get dressed, how you wear things, and I think the best wardrobes don't have everything. They have the things that truly work for them. Trying to remind myself of this often. The jacket is only one example. The other example would be classic shirts. Another example would be polos. So many things I can think of that it feels like it's a classic. It feels like it could work. Maybe I should have it for sometimes, but I actually shouldn't, because I simply don't need it in my wardrobe. Something I try to do in my wardrobe, is to not buy too many multiples of things I love. So I've spoken about this quite a lot on my channel. In the past, I've said that sometimes when we buy an item we love in another color, we change the function of the item. I said in the past video, you know, if you buy a black pant for work and then you buy it in a gray, that could work really well because the function is the same. You're gonna wear it for work. You're gonna wear it with the same tops. Whereas if I go from like a navy sweater to a cream sweater, the function has changed because I've gone from a sweater that I wear every day, no marks, no stains, fuss-free, to a more delicate cream elegant sweater. The function has changed. I no longer wear it in the same way. So I may not wear the new one as often as I did the old. Another thing about multiples is that it kind of puts a burden on our future style. Our style is constantly evolving and transitioning. So by having multiples, I sometimes feel like I'm not giving myself the chance to fall in love with a new item or a new silhouette. And I'm tying myself down to this style because I have 8 broidery t-shirts. I've been thinking about this a lot. Whereas if I had 2 or 3, it allows me to assess in a year or 2 when the t-shirts are starting to wear out a bit, whether this is still my style. It's likely that my style has evolved or I've fallen in love with something else. I think style is constantly evolving. Not because of our taste changing, but it's often because of external things like lifestyle, where we live, our work, family. Things are always changing, and with that, the things we reach for every day. Okay, so this one I think is interesting. Something I stopped buying, something I no longer shop for, are clothing pieces that fall entirely into one style. The most obvious is girly. Sometimes we have clothing that is, you know, pink or it's like red and there are bows on it. And then there's a broidery, there's a lace. The piece is entirely feminine and girly, that it almost feels a little cliched. Like it's almost too much. I think one of the joys of personal style and styling is to be able to adapt your clothes depending on your style and your mood. So having a few things that are feminine that you can combine with things in another aesthetic, so you can adjust your style as you go. When a piece of clothing is entirely in one style, I find that these are the easiest items for me to get sick of when my style evolves at all. I think shoes are also a good example for this one. Sometimes a shoe is like a light pink, maybe there's a bow on it. It's very kind of feminine, slim in shape, and it feels too fussy when I wear it. I think that's the word, fussy. Often these pieces can feel too fussy because it's so drenched in one style. I also feel like these are not necessarily trends, but they can often overlap with a trend. Something I no longer work with are capsule wardrobes. And to be honest, I've never been like fully into the capsule wardrobe while on YouTube, but pre-YouTube, I used to be obsessed with a capsule wardrobe. And the reason I no longer do this is because I simply was not doing it right. The idea of a capsule wardrobe is that every piece is a gem. Every item is perfect. And it's perfect because we build it over time, slowly, with intention. I, on the other hand, went wrong because I would build my capsule over the course of a season. I would have 10 items from that season and they worked. I would not say they were my favorite. I didn't spend that much time looking for them. I would just find 10 pieces and that was it. So it never had the true, I think, authenticity of a capsule wardrobe. The habit I broke here is to stop trying to build my wardrobe in one season. Stop trying to build my wardrobe quickly. I think that it makes a lot of sense where if we are styling old and new, we have different layers of our style in an outfit. We have that skirt from years ago. We have that jewelry from years ago. We have a new bag that we recently bought. And when there's old and new, it feels more authentic to our current style and our style long term. When I'm wearing a full outfit of stuff I bought last week, it's usually a little flat and it doesn't take into account, I think, any depth. It's just about current trends, current colors, current fabrics, and it's missing that depth. Something I no longer do and I no longer buy are clothing pieces designed for someone much taller. So let me just explain it all through this one piece. I have this Balzac sweatshirt. I cut it and now it's perfect. But before I did this, it was very weird in the fit. Because it had that bottom band, it was so tight on my hip because it's not meant to sit at your hip. It's meant to sit above your hip or kind of like under your waist. So you can kind of see it completely messes up the sizing of this piece for me if I didn't adjust it myself, because I would need to go up a size for it to fit comfortably. It felt really tight because where it was meant to sit is not where it sat on me. This happens with a lot of clothing. Sometimes with blouses, you'll notice that it's tight at the hip, not because it's too small there, but because it was meant to finish at the waist and now it finishes at the hip. A lot of skirts are too tight because there's a split at the bottom. On someone taller, it literally splits below the knee. On someone shorter like myself, it splits lower down. So then it's more restrictive when I wear that skirt. There are so many things like this that happens when I try to buy clothes from Scandi brands or brands designed for women much taller than I am. So it's not just about the pants being long, the sleeves being long. There's a lot of things in the fit that doesn't quite work. Another example that's really hard to adjust: collars. For a shirt, sometimes it's very clear that I don't have enough distance here. So something weird happens with the collar where it goes a bit too high and there's just excess material in this region. It's a very weird fit and something hard to explain, and I didn't understand it until I did. I try to avoid brands that I know design their clothes for someone very tall, and I try to find brands that somewhat feel more aligned. Like Cezanne tends to work pretty well. J. Crew, 100%. Dowen, like most brands I shop at work fine. But a lot of Scandi brands, not so much. Something I no longer do that makes me more stylish because I'm more comfortable is that I no longer try tons of shoe brands. I find that shoe brands tend to fall within a particular fit. They have a particular shape and mold that they'll follow. So with that in mind, I know the brands that work for me and I try to stick to them because it just means less shoes that I suffer in. Bed footwear is my go-to, but I've also had people tell me they found it really uncomfortable. So shoes are so personal. My best friend used to love these like Lacoste sneakers and she wore them every day, and I love the way they look, but they were the most uncomfortable shoe I've ever worn, and I used to be a ballet dancer on point. So it just goes to show that shoes are extremely personal. If you find something that works for you, stick to it. Don't feel like you need to try every shoe brand, especially if you fall very narrow, very wide, and you need particular fits. I have medium to wide feet. I really like bed footwear. I try to stick to them. I really like Tod's for more designer loafers, and I'll probably stick to them in the future as well. Final habit, and everything in this video is very much a work in progress, not perfect at any of these. But final thing is to resist the shiny and new things out there. Ask yourself the question, once I buy this item, it's been in my wardrobe for a month or two, is it really going to be that much different than what I already own? When I look at a new sweater, it's so perfect. I always try to imagine in 2 months when there's pilling, when there are signs of wear showing through, isn't it just gonna be similar to that one I already own in my wardrobe? So I try to anticipate and just question whether I want something because I'm so excited to style it and I love the design, or whether it's just because it's new. There is such a big difference, and I try to just question my purchases a little bit more. This one is very relevant for me. I need to ask this question more. Do I love this white blouse just because it's new and the design is slightly different to what I own? Or do I truly feel like it's different enough to what I own to justify it? Thank you so much for watching today's video. I am still moving. There are boxes everywhere. Trying to figure out the sound and all the filming details. So thank you for putting up with whatever the quality of this video maybe. I hope it was reasonable. If you'd like to have a closer look at any of the idyl pieces, everything will be linked down below. Everything I'm wearing and the other pieces I have in my collection as well. Have an incredible week ahead. I will see you next one. Bye.